I know a lot of you are looking for freezer-friendly meals for busy families, so today I'm going to be doing some meal prepping and stocking my freezer with some easy dinner recipes, some grab-and-go breakfast recipes, and some homemade treats because I think that's important to meal prep too for those days when you just don't have the time to cook or you just don't feel like cooking. So we're going to make this broccoli cheddar casserole, which is well-rounded and hearty. Also, these DIY breakfast burritos that you can just heat and eat, and some delicious cookies. So the first thing we're gonna meal prep are these DIY frozen burritos. And this is great for breakfast, lunch, or even a snack when you just want something a little bit more hearty and satisfying. They've got a great mix of protein, fiber, and fat. And I always say whenever you have those three things, it really helps to sustain energy levels. And personally, it just makes me feel really good. So this is a great recipe to have on hand, and it's very customizable. All of the measurements for these recipes are going to be in the description box below, but one of the great things about making a plant-based tofu scramble for your breakfast burritos is that it heats up even better than regular eggs. So I like to do a mix of tofu and cauliflower rice to sneak in an extra veggie, then I season it with my spices, and when you go to reheat this, it's going to have that same texture that it initially had before you froze it, unlike a chicken's egg, which just kind of gets rubbery if you overheat it, and that can really be a bummer in a breakfast burrito. So this is a great option whether you're vegan or not. I'm going to add a little bit of nutritional yeast for depth and then set that aside to cool. Then I'm going to add an extra layer of protein to these burritos and flavor because pinto beans, refried pinto beans from a can, are already seasoned, and they're such a great way to add lots of just heartiness and fiber and extra protein to a breakfast burrito without having to do anything. I like to kind of whip them up a little bit in a mixing bowl before spreading onto the tortilla just to make it easier, and then I'll layer on my tofu scramble, some vegan cheddar cheese, and a little bit of salsa verde. The flavors in this burrito are so great because the refried beans really work with that cheddar cheese and the tofu scramble and the salsa verde. It all is super flavorful even though it's simple, and I love that you're getting two sources of plant-based protein, fiber, you're getting an extra hidden veggie in there, and it's just a well-rounded, hearty staple to have in your freezer. And I love making stuff like this when I'm meal prepping because I want something that's easy and convenient and kind of tastes like comfort food, but also is actually going to be nourishing and give me energy. That's really what I'm looking for when I'm meal prepping, and this recipe is just that. So I'm going to wrap these up tightly. I'm going to label them so that I don't forget what is inside. I recommend putting a label and also the date on whatever you're putting in the freezer. That way it's easy for you and whoever else lives in your home to keep track of what's going on in the freezer. When you want to reheat these burritos, just unwrap them and throw them in the microwave. I do about a minute or two on each side until they're warmed through. Once they're warmed through, you can go ahead and eat and enjoy them. However, I also sometimes like to toast them as well because I think there's something about a flour tortilla when it's toasted that it just tastes so much better. So once it's warmed through, I will heat up a pan, no oil or anything because we're just going to toast it, and I'll put it seam side down first and it will get nice and golden brown. But what it's also doing is it's helping to seal the burrito shut, so it's just a little bit easier to eat as well. So it's kind of like a double added bonus there. And then once it's golden, I'll flip it over and do the other side. It takes about a minute or two, but it really enhances the flavor. If you want the recipe for these burritos or anything that you see in this video, it's going to be in the description box below. And in that recipe, you'll also find a bunch of add-ins so you can customize these burritos to your liking. It's a great base recipe, and then you can kind of add in different veggies or different sauces each time to make it a little bit different based on what you have on hand or what you're in the mood for that day. So definitely check that out for some more ideas. But now I'm going to go ahead and show you how to make a broccoli cheddar casserole. And if you love broccoli and cheddar soup, you are absolutely going to love this. The first thing we're going to do is add our rice directly to our baking dish along with some broccoli, and you can use fresh or frozen broccoli. Then we'll take some onions and saute that with our vegan chicken. I recommend using one that doesn't have breading on it. I mean, any kind of vegan chicken you like will work. You could also do chickpeas or tofu, whatever kind of vegan protein you like will work. But I find that this daring chicken is especially delicious in this recipe. I'm going to saute that for a couple of minutes and then add my garlic. I love this garlic press. I use this literally every single day. And then I'm going to transfer the onions and the chicken to the casserole dish along with my cheddar cheese and make our sauce, which is super easy. You just throw everything in a pot. It's veggie broth, coconut milk, the spices, which is like turmeric and a little bit of cayenne pepper, salt and pepper, and nutritional yeast. The secret ingredient is a little bit of Dijon mustard. It doesn't taste like Dijon mustard, but it really gives this sauce a richness and a depth that is so good. I finished that with some fresh thyme leaves and whisk it all together. Then we'll pour the hot sauce over the rice and the broccoli and the chicken and the onions and the cheddar cheese. And this is just going to bake all together until all of the liquid is absorbed into the rice. And what's so great about this casserole is every single grain of rice becomes super flavorful because instead of steaming it, or cooking it with water, you're cooking it in this really flavorful liquid. So every single bite is really tasty. It's very important to cover your casserole so that the rice cooks properly. And then in the last few minutes of baking, I like to go ahead and top it with some shredded cheese. Now, you don't have to pulse your cheese in a little food processor like I did. You can just take it straight out of the bag. But because I wanted it to melt really well, I just kind of chopped it up a little bit. That's a little hack that I love to use. Then I sprinkle on my panko breadcrumbs and bake one more time. I actually made 2 casseroles on this day, one to have for dinner that night, and then the other one was to freeze for later. And for the one that I made for dinner that night, I went ahead and I put the panko breadcrumbs on top, which is just panko breadcrumbs, a little bit of sea salt and olive oil. You sprinkle that all over the top and then pop it back in the oven so it gets nice and crunchy. And I find that it really elevates this casserole because the bottom part of the casserole is like creamy and rich and cheesy, and then you get that contrast from the crispy, crunchy topping, and it really just takes it to the next level. So I love doing that if I'm gonna serve it day of, but if you're planning on freezing this casserole, I would just add the cheese on top and wait to add the panko until you reheat it later on. And all of the directions for how to reheat a casserole are in the blog post as well. Since I'm talking about doing some postpartum meal prep in this video, I also wanted to show you some nursery updates. We are doing a mini nursery in our bedroom because we live in an apartment. So you might have seen that we recently wallpapered one wall just to kind of have an accent wall. And since then we've added a few more things. So it's starting to come together, including this Newton Baby bassinet and bedside sleeper. And this is amazing because it is completely breathable and washable. And that was the reason I wanted to go for Newton Baby, is because they are known for having breathable products. I actually saw on YouTube and on Instagram people holding up the crib mattress that they make and holding it right up to their mouths and being able to breathe through it. And that to me is amazing. And so I read about it and learned that that is the woven air technology, and that's the same technology that's used in the bassinet. So it's breathable, it's washable, it's lightweight, portable, easy to assemble, and it sits right next to the bed, which I think is perfect. I also like that it has mesh sides so you can see right through it, and the whole thing is just so well designed. So if you guys want to check out Newton Baby as well, they were kind enough to offer my viewers $50 off as well as free shipping when you enter your email address and use my code at checkout. So go ahead and check out the link in the description box below. Look at their products. Like I said, they have the bedside bassinet, which is what I have, also the crib mattress, which we will be getting because we have a breathable mattress and we tried to do the breathe test thing and it's not, you can't breathe through it. So I really want to replace that with the Newton Baby mattress at some point. And then we also have the pregnancy pillow, which I love sleeping on a pregnancy pillow because I find that I toss and turn a lot, and this is great because it has a removable cover that you can wash and throw back on. I got a pregnancy pillow earlier on and it said that you could take the cover off, and it ended up that when I washed that cover, the zipper was just so poorly made that I could not get it back on, and I ended up just not using the cover on that one. So when I got this one, the first thing I did was I fluffed it up and then I removed the cover, I washed it, and it was so much easier to put back on. Oh no, there's a leaf blower happening outside, so I'm gonna wrap this up, but I do wanna just let you know again that that code is in the description box below. I definitely recommend checking out Newton Baby. I think you're gonna love it. And I also wanted to prep something sweet because I know that even though it's important to have healthy, balanced meal staples in the freezer ready to go, it's also very practical to assume that I'm going to need some kind of little treat and probably not going to want to make cookies from scratch when I'm on very little sleep from being postpartum. So I went ahead and I made my new kitchen sink cookie recipe. These are like a brown sugar oatmeal cookie with these really crisp, kind of craggly edges and a soft center. And what's great about those crispy edges is that it makes it absolutely perfect for dunking. If you love to dunk warm cookies into cold milk, this is a great recipe for you. It's also great because you can use up any leftover Halloween candy you have on hand. They're called kitchen sink cookies because they contain basically everything but the kitchen sink. And on this day, I did some chocolate chips, some vegan chocolate gems, which are kind of like a vegan version of M&Ms, as well as some chewy cranberries and crunchy salted peanuts. There's nothing subtle about these cookies. These are chock full of chocolate and delicious fillings things that really make them a little bit extra and just fun to eat. So this is a great thing to have on hand. I baked some of them and then I scooped the rest onto a plate, froze until solid, and then transfer them to a bag with a label. I can't wait to hear which one of these recipes you're gonna make first, and if you're gonna have it for now or if you're planning on meal prepping it like I did today. If you make any of these recipes, go ahead and tag me in a picture on Instagram so I can check it out. I love to share those in my stories as well. So tag me in a photo so I can see it, and don't forget to check out the link below for all of the recipes and for Newton Baby, and I hope you guys have a really great day. I'll see you in a video very soon. Bye.